All right, we're here. Let's get that off. Hello. Make sure everything's working. Audio seems to be working fine. We like to see that. I'm accidentally shaking my shit a little too hard, but it's okay. Welcome in. Welcome in. We got quite a bit to talk about, man. We've got quite a bit to talk about in Requiem. This is kind of the funeral for the 2025 Broncos season, so to speak. Man, I just, what a rough way to go out. The Denver Broncos drop the AFC title game to the Pats 10-7. The Pats are able to outlast them as the snow began to blast the field. And there's quite a few things to kind of take away from this. Obviously, Denver was going to be fighting an uphill battle, starting Jarrett Stidham at quarterback. I don't think the game was called perfectly, especially considering where Jarrett Stidham, is as a player. There's just a lot that could not happen. There was a lot that was not going to happen that did not happen for the Denver Broncos today, and it's just the unfortunate way that things ran. To be completely honest, I mean there was a lot going against Denver. So let's look at this. In retrospect, the Requiem to the Denver Broncos 2025 season after a playoff loss. Yeah, man. We look at the game recap right here. Box score it all you want. But just the team stats from the get-go. Broncos get outgained 206 to 181. What I will say though is that the defense played just an incredible game. Up until the very end, the defense played outstanding. Outstanding football by the defense, and if this was Vance Joseph's last game as a Denver Bronco, that's a hell of a way to go out, and that's going to put, I mean, that's a lot of good on film that he just put out. A whole season's worth, and then he coaches the game of his life in the playoffs, and it's just, the offense cannot pick him up at all. Nothing doing from the offense in this game. This game is not on Vance Joseph. This game is not on the defense. The defense 100% did their job, and I can't sit here and act like they didn't, because they did. You gave up 10 points in a game at home. I'd imagine like 8.5, 9 times out of 10 you win that game. All right? This game is not on the defense. 6 for 18 on third down for New England. Denver goes 4 for 14 throughout the game. 0 for 1 on that fourth down, and we'll talk about that later. We're just kind of rattling off the numbers here. Broncos did get 5 sacks, and again, this game's not on the defense, but we're just going to keep things moving. Broncos give up 3 sacks during the game. Combined 14 punts. New England 8, Denver 6. A pretty clean game. In terms of penalties here, only 2 for 5 on Denver, and 1 was right at the end while the Pats were kneeling the ball out. DJ Jones fell off sides. Basically, it was an encroachment call. And then New England also had a penalty, but I don't actually remember what. Oh, the false start in the later stages of the game. Broncos lose the turnover differential, lost a fumble, and Stidham threw a pick. Both of those were on Stidham. And it just was an ugly game. 0 for 2 on field goals, 1 for 2 in the red zone. Pats were only 1 for 3 on field goals. So there were chances to win this game. Denver had every opportunity to win this game. Let's start with these numbers here, and we'll start with the good first. If there's one knock that I've got on the defense today, it is the contain on Drake May. It was the contain on Drake May. We'll talk about that in just a minute. May himself in the air, though, 10 for 21, 86 yards, 5 sacks, bad game. 100% a bad game. And dude, he got carried. He got carried. 100% got carried in this game, at least when it came to his arm. Running-wise, and here's what I liked about what the Broncos did. They held Patriots running backs to 28 carries for 76 yards. 76 total yards from running backs. 2.8 yards per carry for Ramondre Stevenson and 1.7 for Travion Henderson. The problem, and here is where I'm really gonna drill down on this, because I'm surprised this wasn't a point of emphasis. You're playing a mobile quarterback in Drake May. Drake May can run. We've seen him do it all playoffs. We have seen him do it for the entirety of the playoffs. The guy can run, and there just seemed to be no plan of containment for Drake May, because we've seen this guy rattle off big run after big run during the playoffs, man, and it's just tough, man. 10 for 65 and a touchdown on the ground for Drake May. He ends up having, I think, 151 total yards, and he did his best work on the ground. Denver, again, just seemed to have absolutely no contain for him, or no plan to contain him. Receiving-wise, I think Denver did a really good job outside of really one play, the 31-yard Mac Hollins catch off of the flea flicker, which was just a well-designed play. They caught Denver in a mismatch with Dre Greenlaw running with Mac Hollins down the sideline. Just wasn't a play that was going to end well for Denver really at all. I'm pretty sure that's the drive that Denver held New England to, the one field goal they actually got. But Stephon Diggs shut down, 5 for 17. Hunter Henry, nothing. Kayshon Boutte, 1 for 6, nothing. And then, Demario Douglas had a target, and then Stevenson had 2 targets. Nothing happening. Nothing happening for anyone in that Pats receiving room except for Mac Hollins on one play. And then, I mean, we look at the defense. Again, this is not the defense's fault. If there's one thing that they absolutely needed to figure out, though, at some point within the game, was how to contain Drake May's legs. I think after really the first big carry that he had, there needed to be a better plan of containment there. And then we saw that, they went to the thing that was working best for them at the end of the game. In that end of the game sequence on 3rd and 6, where they faked the run and then they just ran the old Peyton Manning naked bootleg, got 7 yards, and that was ball game. There really wasn't a plan of contain, I feel like, for Drake May. And I'm not saying you wanted to cage rush him. I don't think Drake May is that kind of a quarterback where you've got a cage rush, but you've got to do something besides what ended up happening. There were a couple of stunts where there was just a wide open sieve for Drake May to run through, and there not a once in this game did I notice that there was a spy. And I don't know if that was just a middle linebacker breaking out of the assignment. I would have to rewatch it to a point, or I don't know if it was just a lapse in the judgment of Vance Joseph, but I think the lack of a spy, at least defensively, is the one thing that I am really willing to knock this Denver defense for. Otherwise, outstanding game. Outstanding game by the defense. I think they used all their turnovers up against Buffalo, though, because Denver could have really, really used a turnover in this game, especially where the offense turned it over twice. Speaking of the offense, it was ugly. And we talked about the total team stats as well. 181 total yards, 102 through the air, 79 on the ground in total for Denver. Jarrett Stidham, he played like a backup. He played like a backup quarterback. 17 of 31, 133, 1 touchdown, and what would ultimately become the game-sealing interception. Took 3 sacks. He had that fumble that led to the New England touchdown, which ultimately helped them win, obviously. There just was not anything working offensively outside of that second possession. And as the elements continued to get worse, we saw the offense very much continue to get worse. And yeah, no, you make a great point, Bok Choy, too. I mean, the drops were everywhere. And I said this during the broadcast, too, that Courtland Sutton has had probably the worst string of drops that I have ever seen that man have. I have seen him make some incredible catches in his career, but he hit probably the worst slump that I've ever seen. And I think that leads me to my first takeaway. Denver needs to get a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. I don't know if that looks like they're drafting somebody in the first round. I don't know if there's somebody in free agency they want to go get. I know there's some disgruntled receivers. I mean, the front office and the coaching staff would have to make the decision on who they like or who might mesh in this locker room, because I don't think this team wants to bring in an A.J. Brown. But one way or another, Denver has to go out and get a wide receiver. And like, I love Courtland Sutton as much as the next guy. I absolutely love Courtland Sutton as much as the next guy, but I don't think, I definitely think he is in the bottom tier of number 1 wide receivers in the league. And you can see that. Defenses do not need to dedicate as many resources to guarding a Courtland Sutton, and that just lets all of their guys kind of sit there and just play one-on-one with the Broncos receivers. There's no major concern when a defense is playing against Courtland Sutton other than maybe getting a jump ball, but the way Courtland's been dropping the ball, during this stretch. I mean, you have to have a legitimate conversation about oh my god, I'm losing my words. You have to have a legitimate conversation about getting a better number one over the offseason. I think that is somewhere where Denver really, really needs to improve, and I think it needs to be quickly, because I don't know what kind of development we're going to get out of Pat Bryant in the offseason. I don't know if Marvin Mims becomes a more focal point in the game plan. I don't know. I don't know. And that's truly the crazy part here. I think Stidham does better if he's got someone that can go in and break the game like a Davante Adams, because we saw him in that one game against San Francisco when he had a Davante Adams. He was able to pick that 49er defense apart, and I'm pretty sure the Niners went to the Super Bowl that year with how good their defense was. But let's move on a little bit here. Rushing wise, again, just kind of a sorry effort here, and I think this needs to be something else that there's a conversation about. And maybe RJ Harvey develops into a true 3-down back, but right now he seems like a high potential 3rd-down back. That's kind of what it seems like to me. I don't think Denver has a real bruiser that you can run out there on 1st and 2nd down to just go drill out yardage. And I think that's been a problem for years now, ever since Javonte tore his ACL, because that's what Javonte was. That is exactly what Javonte Williams was. He had the ACL injury, and then he was never the same in a Broncos uniform. But Harvey goes 13 of 37, doesn't even average 5 yards, or doesn't even average 3 yards a carry. Stidham 4 for 23. We saw him do a couple of nice things with his legs. Still not the best. And I mean, what have you. Jaleel McLaughlin, 4 carries, 11 yards. He goes for the same average YPC as Harvey. I thought that he was right now probably the better out of the 2 backs. I don't know if I can say anything about that anymore. RJ is definitely probably the best active running back on the roster right now. I really thought that there was a chance that we would get JK back, and I think if you get Dobbins back, this could be a different ball game. Not that JK is going to get 20 touches, but I do think he gets... I think he gets a chunk of Harvey's touches, and I think JK does more with those touches, is kind of what I'm getting at here. And then just the rest of the guys on the rushing front. I mean, Bidet had 4 yards on 1 carry. Prentice converted a 2nd or a 3rd and short with a 3-yard carry, and then Pat Bryant got that one really weird carry as well. Receiving wise, and here's where I am a little encouraged. Marvin Mims, 4 for 62. He's been the leading receiver in both of the Broncos playoff games. He's put up 155 yards, if I am correct, during this playoff stretch, which it has been... If there was one guy in the receiving room that truly stepped up during these last 2 playoff games, it was Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims, and here's kind of takeaway number 2, and they're both about the wide receivers, unfortunately, but Marvin Mims needs more snaps. I think Marvin Mims can be that kind of Tyreek Hill-esque player in an offense, where you can line him up at number 2, have him run downfield, and a team has to account for him. If there's, if I had to name a playoff MVP this year right now, yeah, Mims absolutely stepped up. If there's one guy that I would name playoff MVP, it's Marvin Mims. And the only reason for that is because Bo Nix was not playing. Now, that leads me kind of to takeaway number 3. Bo Nix was the final nail in the Broncos' coffin. We've seen them be able to fight through injuries this season. We've seen the resiliency of this team when it came to injuries. But so much of that also hung on Bo Nix because he could do what Bo Nix could do. And once that went away, I mean, I definitely think that we have seen how steep the drop-off can be from starter to backup, because you got to think, we have not seen Jarrett Stidham take a snap in 2 years. In 2 years, we have not seen Jarrett Stidham take a snap. And part of me wonders, too, if rust really did play a factor for Stidham. Because Stidham, man, Stiddy, he looked so worried in the pocket. He had happy feet. And part of that, I mean, the offensive line didn't really help him, but I don't think Stidham has the playmaking ability that Bo does. And it's just, I mean, there is just so much to kind of sift through here. But Marvin Mims played a hell of a game. A hell of a postseason. Marvin Mims needs to have 70+% of the offensive snap share next year at wide receiver, because my God. I think that this maybe kind of the back bit of this season into the playoffs. I I don't know what you do with Cortland Sutton. I don't. I really don't. Like, he has put up the quietest 1,000-yard season ever, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, but I feel like it's been so quiet because he's been so inconsistent and because he just has these frustrating stretches where it feels like he couldn't catch a cold. To be completely honest, it's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. This offseason, though, I do think, I mean, we'll keep punching through these receiving numbers. I went on a tangent there. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 1 catch, 5 yards. I think Denver needs to upgrade at wideout 4. I really do. I think your top 3 on the team right now. It's still Cortland, but Cortland's like 2 or 3 right now to me, because I think it's Marvin Mims is your best receiver on the roster right now. Troy is probably like the 4th best on the roster. Maybe 3. I don't know. This receiver room right now, though, like, is kind of a mess. And maybe Franklin has a hell of an offseason. I mean, the improvement for Troy Franklin from year 1 to year 2 was great. I'm interested to maybe see what he does year 2 to year 3. But right now, it is tough. And Franklin didn't even play in this game. I don't know if giving, Steady another weapon to work with really moves the needle all that much. But it's... There, and yeah, Buck, you put it best, Buck. Cortland definitely has some adjustments to make. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, the rest of the receivers, Elijah Moore had 4 yards, Jaleel had 2, and Pat Bryant had 2. And that was crazy to me because Bryant and Stidham had such good chemistry in the preseason during OTAs, and that was kind of something that was really hammered home for the Broncos. I am gonna couple this in with the offense. We're gonna talk about special teams. Will Lutz chose a really bad day to have an off day. There was a kick before halftime from 46 that he yanked right. And that felt like the turning point of the game. I think if Denver goes into halftime with a lead, whether or not it's 10-0 after, taking the field goal on that 4th and 1 on the 3rd possession, which I was saying on stream that I would have rather taken the points right there, just with the way that the game was playing out, how close it was, how, just defensively focused it was. I think if you force New England to have to throw more at some point in the game, I definitely think that it's a better outcome for Denver. Maybe we're talking about overtime, and maybe Denver somehow finds a way in overtime or something. I don't know. Denver left 6 points on the board in this game, and those 6 points would have won it. And that was, again, the 4th and 1 that they didn't get going for it, and then the Lutz missed field goal at the end of half, and then Denver's last gasp that what was it? I think that was like another 40-something yard field goal that Lutz was going for as the snow was drilling down. I mean, the ball gets tipped at the line. I forgot who tipped it. I said it during the broadcast. The guy that tipped it. It just, I mean, Denver left. I mean, really, when you think about it, Denver did end up leaving 9 points on the board. And that's the difference between a 16-10 and the 10-7 loss that we're talking about actively right now. Defensively, again, and it's as I was saying, defensively, Denver did, I thought Denver played a damn good game defensively. There was the one complaint that I had about the lack of a contain plan for Drake May. No spy, no nothing there. But I thought they still played a pretty damn good game. Malcolm Roach had half a sack in there. Allen had a full sack. DJ Jones gets a sack and a half. Jonathan Cooper had a pretty big sack. And then Q Robinson had a sack early in the game. What shocked me was Nick Benito's ineffectiveness, it looked like, against Will Campbell. And I don't know if it was just Will Campbell finally stepping up, or if it says more perhaps about Benito. What I will say, though, is that, like I said, I collectively, the collective body of work, Denver played an outstanding game defensively. There were just a couple of plays that broke their back down the stretch that the offense couldn't dig them out of. And in a game where you only need 11 points to win, I would call this an absolute win for the defense. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. But again, Benito did not have the day against Will Campbell that I thought he would, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Campbell finally just got the best of somebody. You know what I mean? Because he's looked a bit rough at times during the playoffs, but Nick Benito had really no impact, it felt like, in this game. None at all. I don't even know if he's on the box score. Like, I don't even know if he recorded a single stat in this game. Yeah, no. Nick Benito did not record a single stat in this game, which is beyond me. Beyond me. Oy, oy, oy. So moving into the offseason now, now that we're kind of in Requiem, I think Denver really needs to have a look at just have a hard look at the receiver room and see if they can't make it better. I don't know if you can really afford to go out and say, all right, let's get a 3rd round pick that we're going to develop when, this team has the ceiling that it has, for sure. I mean, there's the factor of luck too. Denver got screwed with the injury bug at the worst possible time with Bo Nix going down. If Bo Nix plays, I think Denver wins this easy. I definitely think they put up more than 7 points, and in a game where you would win a 13-10 slugfest or something or the other. I definitely think I mean, we missed Bo Nix in this game. That's something else that I will throw out there as well. We very, very much missed Bo Nix. We will have we'll probably do a couple of different offseason videos. I think we'll do like an offseason awards video. The guys that I definitely think were the biggest impact players on the team this year. Maybe do like a most improved or something like that later down the line. It just sucks, man. Like this one just sucked. It did. But the positive thing though is like we have seen that Denver can go and play with the best. We learned a lot about this team this year, and I think next year is going to be incredibly fun. I do. I very much think next year is going to be incredible for this team. I'm not going to call any shots yet. But yeah, that is pretty much the AFC title game in Requiem. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're only 19 subscribers away from 400. It has been an absolute hell of a year. Big shout to Ender Games, my graphics guy. This one I actually did custom, just to kind of screw around and see. I did that in my last video, so those were my 6 keys. I'd go say check that out, but it's legitimately irrelevant right now. Now that we've already played the game. Yeah, I mean, we're going to examine some stuff this offseason. I'll make some videos about it, and yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much. Thank you to Bok Choy as well for modding as always. Thank you to Ender for doing the same thing. Thank you to all the people that are out here supporting me. Appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you, and I will see you guys in the next video. And yeah, we'll probably have some off-season content start coming up pretty soon. So with that being said, once again, see you guys. I love you. And that'll do it.